This conference will now be recorded.
So let's talk about some interview related questions or scenarios. Okay, so I'll only give the questions or some important scenarios. You try to experiment them on the system and then we will review it and then do it together in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so the first one is GL open item management. So when we talk about this GL open item management, now if you look at any GL account master record, FS00. Now, first of all, is this GL account open item management applicable for P&L account or balance sheet account?
Balance sheet amount.
This is
Balance
applicable only for the balance sheet account, which we already discussed. Now, if I take any balance sheet account, for example, capital, in your GL master record under control data tab, you will find a field called open item management. Now, we are talking about enabling of this is one scenario, disabling of this is another scenario. Clear? When we talk about open item management, scenario 1, activation of open item management. Scenario number 2 will be what? Deactivation.
yes, sir.
Right? One is your activation of open item management and the other one is deactivation of open item management. This is a possible practical scenario which you will get in your real environment. There may be certain GL accounts wherein your client would like to stop open item management or they would like to open the open item management functionality. Now, within this two scenarios, there may be sub scenarios. When I say sub scenarios, it's again different. Now, ways of doing this in ECC and S4HANA environment. How you will activate or deactivate this in ECC and how you will activate or deactivate this in S4HANA. Is it the same process in ECC S4HANA or there are any differences? This first thing that you'll have to identify. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, let's say I'll give a if GL does not have any postings. Okay, when I say if GL does not have any postings, it's a fresh GL account created or GL account created, but it did not have any postings till date. It's a fresh account or unused account. What will be the approach to activate? What will be the approach to deactivate? Both in ECC and S4HANA, you have to identify. Let me in ECC and in S4HANA. This is one scenario. Clear with this scenario? You can replicate, right?
Yes, sir.
All you need to do is create a GL account. Do not post any transactions. Then you will have your scenario ready to experiment. Just check if you are able to directly activate or deactivate. In short, you are able to tick and untick. Is system stopping you from anything or are you getting any messages from system? If yes, you will have to make a note of it. Remember why the messages are coming, what you need to do to remove those messages. This is the first scenario. Let's say second scenario. If GL has transactions but balance is 0 with with open items and without open items. Okay. If I say GL has transactions but balance is 0 with open item and without open items, what does this mean? I mean, GL account has been created, you have posted some entries, but let's say there are 4 entries. Let's say 4 entries for 100, 80, 50, and 70, like this, or like this. There are transactions, but total is 0. In this case, how you are going to activate or deactivate the open item management? Okay. Now, third scenario would be GL has transactions, but balance is not 0. Okay. Balance is not 0. In this case, how you are going to do this? Maybe like this. Sorry. In this kind of cases, how you are going to activate or deactivate open item management? In short, you've got 3 cases. Correct? You have 3 scenarios. All these 3 scenarios will have to be verified or tested both on ECC version and S/4HANA version. And tomorrow, if you get the similar question in your interview, or if you are explaining the similar ticket or similar incident to your interviewer, you'll have to be more specific. It's not just client had asked me to open the open item management or deactivate the open item management. Within that, you will be in a position to explain different scenarios. What was your client scenario exactly and how you achieved it, and what was the changes from ECC to S/4HANA with respect to this. Now, activating or deactivating this process is different both in ECC and S/4HANA. Clear? Okay, let me write this point here. This is handled differently in ECC and HANA. Clear with this? GL open item management. One is your activation and the other one is deactivation. First thing, if GL does not have any transactions, how you are going to activate it, how you are going to deactivate it in ECC, in S/4HANA. Second one, if your GL has transactions but balance is not 0, there is some overall balance is appearing. Let's say if I run any one report, FIGLL 03. Let's say this capital account is currently having some transactions, but is the total 0 or not 0?
Not 0.
It is not 0. This is which scenario? Scenario number 3, correct? GL has transactions, but balance is not 0. In this scenario, if this is the case of ECC, how you are going to deactivate it? In this case, you have to activate because currently this is line item account, correct? You are able to see the tick mark. For this GL account, if I have to activate open item management, in short, if I try, this is the same account, capital. Currently, this is not an open item managed. If I click on change mode, if I try to enable this and if I try to save it. So this is telling you cannot change the open item management setting. If I open this drop down, it is telling you cannot deactivate open item management with this transaction because the account does not have a balance of 0. Correct? The account does not have a balance of 0. What if the account balance is 0 and then I wanted to activate this? What is the account balance currently? What is the account balance? 1,30,000. To make it 0, what I should pass? 1,30,000 positive debit in this account.
Yes, sir.
I'll simply pass one debit in this account. 40. What is this account number? 21. 1,30,000. 50. Maybe any account. Okay, an entry is posted for a debit. If I refresh this, now the account has transactions but balance is 0.
Yes, sir.
Correct? GL account has transactions but balance is 0. This will give you the scenario number 2. Right? Sorry, scenario number 3. Now let me try to play with this GL account now. Let me come out of this FS00 capital account, change, control data, take this, save. Is this allowing? No, right?
No, sir.
It is telling this account does not have a balance of 0, but this has the balance of 0. But if you see, group currency is not 0, right? Document currency, this is 0, but your group currency is not 0. Now when you are doing these kind of things on your real environment, this is how you get the problems. Your account balance may not be 0. According to your client, he says no, amount in document currency is already 0. Our local currency is already 0. They will tell simply ignore this group currency. They might tell ignore the group currency, but can system ignore that?
No, sir.
System cannot ignore it. System is straight away telling you, no, I cannot make this because the balance is not 0. Now how you are going to proceed, what kind of challenges are you going to face while doing so, is what exactly expected by your interviewer in your interview. It may sound very simple, activation or deactivation of open item management for a GL account, but when you get into it, you will get to know different scenarios within this. So when you practically do this on your own, you will come to know different issues. You'll face a lot of challenges. You'll get to know different new things. All these new things that you are getting to know during your experiment is what you have to speak out in your interview, so that when you're explaining to the other person, let the other person ask any cross question from this, you will have confident answers. So this kind of experiment is what is expected from you when you're practicing. Clear? When you do this, so this is your first one. Clear with this scenario? We'll do all this practically on our sessions.
Yes, sir.
And the second one, let me put postings to a GL account in a particular currency only. DC, LC, or GC. What is DC?
Document currency.
Document currency.
LC,
Document
Local
currency.
currency.
LC. Local currency.
GC,
Group currency.
group currency. Let's say your client would like to pass an entry only in the document currency, which means your entry is supposed to show only group currency as value. Local currency should be 0. Your group currency should be 0. To see this practically on the system, if you look at this report on my screen, this is capital balance report, correct? Overall, in the capital, I have three currencies. I have my document currency, I have my local currency, I have my group currency. Currently my document currency is 0, my local currency is also 0, but whereas my group currency, this is not 0, right? Now I want to make this account balance fully 0. To make this account balance fully 0, what I need to do, when I pass an additional entry, I have to make document currency balance as 0, correct? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
I have to make the account balance as 0. For that, I understand that only group currency is having a value. I need to put opposite number of group currency. In group currency, how much I need to pass? 1224.32 as positive debit.
Yes.
Agree?
Yes. Yes.
And in local currency, if I put any value here, even if I put 0.01, account balance will not be 0. Again, this will pop up some value of 0.01 or some residual value.
Yes, sir.
So I have to pass an entry in such a way my account balance is fully 0. When I say fully 0, it is 0.00 like these two. This should not leave any residual value of even 0.01. How such kind of entries are posted in SAP? That is your
Dash zero
point
first.
number 2. You can experiment this, then we will pass the entry. You
Okay.
have different screens to do this, different ways to do this.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so when somebody wants to ask you questions related to scenario based or practical questions, this is how they will be asking you. They might simply ask, your client would like to pass an entry wherein the scenario is like this. They have some balance sheet GL account wherein the balance in local currency and the document currency is 0, but they have some residual value in group currency which they want to eliminate. They want to make the account balance clean 0, and they have raised an incident to you, or they are seeking your help to pass this entry. How would you help them out? What would you suggest? And what entry or how, in which screen you will recommend your client to pass to make this account balance is 0? Now, unless you are clear, confident about this, can we answer such kind of questions? No, right? In such kind of a questions, you are not supposed to get confused. You're strictly not supposed to get confused, because the way you're answering, the way you're explaining will let the other person feel that how confident you are, how good you are at the subject. Clear with this scenario? Second scenario,
Yes, sir.
right? Now I'll put this screenshot just to make you feel that. Like this. Okay, this kind of scenario. In this case, you'll have to pass entry only to offset this amount. In short, here you'll have to pass entry for 0, Your entry should be ideally zero, zero, and then 1224.32 positive. Correct? Is this right? When you pass an
Yes.
entry, this 0 will offset to this 0. This 0 will offset to this 0. This positive 1223 will offset to this. Sorry, this 1224 will offset this amount. So net 0 0 will become 0. 0 0 will become 0. Negative 1224, positive 1224 will also become 0. So such kind of a scenarios is what you have to practice. And if somebody is asking you about explaining a ticket or incident, you pick out these points. Clear? Now this is your second point. Let's take third one. This is very important, asked in every interview. Document splitting with financial impact or accounting entries. This is very, very important. First thing you have to explain, or you have to be clear with what is the process or functionality of document splitting, and then the configuration related to document splitting. So in short, you have to tell them the purpose of document splitting, purpose and functionality, configuration. Next you have types of splitting, accounting entry in each type of splitting. In short, how many type of splittings we have? How many types of splittings we have?
Three.
Three types.
Active.
So what are those three?
Active, passive, zero.
Active splitting, passive splitting, and then zero balance splitting. You'll have to explain them, these three: active, passive, zero balance splitting. For every type of splitting, for active splitting, you must give an example where this active splitting will come into picture, along with an accounting entry, debit and credit, where you will assign profit center, business area or segment, where you will not assign. Why you will not assign profit center, segment or business area? Because of what reasons? You remember, we have already discussed, in case of your subledger postings, profit center or additional account assignment is not possible, right? When you pass vendor invoice, you cannot put profit center or segment or business area for your vendor transaction. You can only put for the offsetting of your vendor, maybe your GL account. Your GL account will substitute or will supply the profit center to the vendor line. Similarly to the customer, similarly to the asset. And when it comes to passive, from where this comes? This will come from your settlement transactions or payment transaction, right? Clearing transactions. Next one, zero balance. Zero balance will come majorly when there is a different profit center on the debit side, when there is a different profit center on the credit side. In short, profit center wise, if system is unable to make the document balance as a zero, it will use the zero balance splitting. For this zero balance splitting, what will be the financial impact, accounting impact? along with the accounting entry you have to explain. This is simple, straightforward, but mandatory topic to be discussed in every SAP FICO interview that you face. Clear? Clear with the scenario?
Yes, sir.
Next. Covered GL mode. How to post entries in GLs marked with post automatically only. How to post manual entries. Clear? When I say how to post manual entries, I mean this. If you look at the GL, I think we have enabled this for petty cash account. For petty cash, we have made this under create bank interest, post automatically only. Right? When you take this, what will this represent? Manual entries are not possible. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Right? If I take this post automatically only, system should not allow me to pass entry manually to this GL account. Let me show you on the screen. What message are we getting?
Account number ending with 02 can only be posted internally in company code AJ10.
Right? It is stopping us from posting a manual entry.
Yes, sir.
Yes, no. But I don't want to remove this tick. If I remove this tick, system will allow me to pass the entry manually in this GL account. But without removing this tick, how we will pass the entry into a GL account wherein post automatically tick is enabled. So this is again a point that we'll have to discuss. And when these kind of questions are asked, do not answer stating you have to go there and remove this tick. You have to go there and remove this tick. Now, this is one of the options, but this is not recommended. This is not followed because you may have different users. Correct? I may have different users. If I open this for manual posting, and if I forget to put this manual posting, or by the time that the user records this manual entry, another users might pass the additional entries manually. Correct? So I don't want system to track any of the change here that this has been changed. I don't want system to track any of the change in this, like open item management has been deactivated, later on it has been activated. I don't want, sorry, this post automatically is deactivated and then later on it was activated again. I don't want such changes in the master record, but still I want the user to pass this entry. How this will be achieved? Okay. Now, next one, how to pass entries in alternative GL, group GL in SAP. What is alternative GL and group GL? From where these will come? Any idea from where these GLs will come?
Alternate GL or alternate reconciliation account?
alternative GL. If you go to any GL account, under control data, you will find alternative GL number or alternative account number.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how an entry is posted to this GL account, point number one. Point number two, you will find another option here called group account number. If you are using group chart of account, system will give you another option here called group account number or group GL.
Yes. Yes, sir.
How entry is posted to your group GL account, how entry is posted to your alternative GL account. So this is another point that you'll have to focus on. And the next one, purpose of balances in local currency only in GL master. Okay, if you look at the GL account under control data, you will find an option called balance in local currency only.
Yes, sir.
If you tick this, what will happen? What is the
We'll,
actual purpose of this? And if there are any scenarios in this, if yes, what are those scenarios under which we will be using this functionality? Should this be enabled only for the GL account managed in INR, or should this be used also for the GL account as foreign currency managed? Let's say if the GL account currency is dollar, if I tick this, what will happen?
it will not.
If GL
It will not.
account currency is INR, if I tick this, what will happen? If I don't tick, what will happen? If I tick, what will happen? Where this will affect? Is this going to affect your transactions, or is this going to affect your reporting? Is what you have to explain. Okay, so the other person is not okay, not convinced. If you put balances in local currency, it will accept balance only in local currency. If you don't take, it will accept balance in every currency. That is not the purpose. You have to explain them scenario wise or logically. In short, the purpose of it from the business point of view is what they expect from you. This is another point that we'll have to focus. And one more important point is this field, reconciliation account ready for input purpose. Point number 7. Purpose of reconciliation account ready for input. Why we use this functionality? This one, reconciliation account ready for input. And is this used for any GL account, or is this used for any particular GL account? In what scenario, what will happen? What is the accounting impact in such cases? You are changing reconciliation account during the posting. When these kind of questions are asked to you, you will find the question is very simple. That I have seen this field while creating the GL account so many times. But when you get a question on the same thing, then we might think twice to answer, or we may have no answer to explain. Right? These are all the possible things that you may get from your interviews. And this is also an important field, trading partner. Not only from the GL point of view, from overall company code point of view. Purpose of trading partner in SAP. Not only specifying from the GL accounting point of view, I'm talking this from overall SAP FICO point of view. Why we use the trading partner concept. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Next one is your activation and deactivation of line item management in a GL master, both in ECC and HANA.
In S/4HANA, we don't find that option.
Correct. You have to tell that. In ECC, you have option to activate, deactivate line item management, right?
Yes, sir.
We go to ECC also. I don't remember the password. One sec.
Capital
FS00. So I take any GL account. Here you will find line item activation, deactivation. Right. So how to activate, deactivate this line item management in ECC and in S4HANA. Obviously, in S4HANA, this field itself is invalid because by default, every account is line item managed in S4HANA. But in ECC, it is up to you to enable or disable. If I enable, what will happen? If I disable, what will happen? Where do I find the difference? For a GL account with this tick enabled, for a GL account, this tick disabled. So you will have to explain logically. When I say logically, you'll have to take an example and then tell this is where you are going to see the difference with this. Clear? This, and let's write one more so that it will be 10. How to make a default layouts for a user in different reports. Okay, when I say how to make a different layout, what I mean here is, let's say I'm generating a report like this, but this is my layout, but every time I don't want to change this. By default, whenever I run the report, I want to get the same output, same format. So I don't want to use this option here on the input screen. On the input screen, you will find an option to put the layout, but I don't want this. But where else you will find it?
in
That you'll have to
settings,
explain. Right? In settings, layout,
layout,
you will have layout management. You have to explain all this.
user defined.
Okay. So these points you'll have to explain. All this, whatever we are writing, you can explain to your interviewer as these are the support incidents that you worked upon. Okay. So when you tell all this, they might ask you different cross questions. Why this issue has come up? How did user communicate to you? So they'll put different questions, but you you will have to bypass all those questions, convince your interviewer by your way of explanation, by giving sufficient or valid proper examples. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Make sure you experiment all these points, all these 10 whatever we have. These are only the basic points. You might get questions on this or you may not get questions on this, but in case if somebody is asking you, make sure you are in a position to answer. Approach remains the same, common for all the questions of different areas, different topics, because you are going to talk logically, you are going to talk from the concept perspective, not only the configuration or the steps. End user point of view, business impact, financial impact is what they expect from you. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Try to experiment all this, try to see how far you are able to do this. In the upcoming sessions we are going to do each and everything practically on the system. Okay, each point we will take, we will write the scenario, we will put the steps that we are doing to achieve this. But before that, I want everybody to experiment at least once in the system, see where you are standing, whether you are able to do it. First of all, whether you are able to make out the scenarios from this or not, and are you able to move forward confidently or you are stuck. If you are stuck, where you are stuck and why you are stuck. So that approach is very important, because this is how you will get issues, this is how you will get work when you are in a project. I might simply tell this case, or probably I might ask you this question in your interview. Document splitting, I might ask you simply how zero balance splitting works, can you explain me? Then your definition is not going to work out. You will have to explain the definition, but more than definition, I'm expecting from you a business example, a scenario or a transaction where zero balance splitting will come into picture. How system is going to write the accounting entry for zero balance splitting, what settings are we going to make this, in which scenario this will get enabled. Okay, similarly these kind of things, your user would like to pass an entry to a GL account which is marked as post automatically only. How this is achieved? Because if you normally try, it is not allowing you to post. Then how you are going to make this possible? And one more thing, 11, let me put ledger specific adjustment entries in both ECC and S4HANA. When I say ledger specific entries, what do I mean? Leading ledger and non-leading ledger. Let's say leading ledger I have 1000, non-leading I have 1000, but I want to adjust leading as 1000 only, but I want to keep my non-leading as 850. How am I going to achieve this?
This is with open item management or without open item management?
Always we'll have to segregate when you're experimenting. Okay, wherever the scenarios are possible, you'll have to list out. In case if this is a P&L account, what will be the approach? In case if this is a balance sheet account, balance sheet, whether this is open item, non-open item, or a reconciliation account. If it is normal balance sheet account, open item, non-open item, what will be the approach? If this is a reconciliation account, which means your asset, customer, or vendor, what will be the approach? First of all, are we allowed to pass ledger specific entries in sub-ledger account in ECC and in S4HANA?
No.
Right? That you'll have to see. So all those points will have to be spoken if these kind of questions are asked. Or if they are not asking, you put these points. Tell that you worked on this scenario. If somebody is asking, tell me the issues that you handled. What was the tricky situation you handled? Or what is the recent ticket or recent incident that you worked upon? Which scenario you felt was difficult? Tell these kind of things. That your client wanted to adjust your customer balance only in non-leading ledger, whether this was possible or not possible. If yes, how you did this? If not possible, why this was not possible? Was this not possible both in ECC and S4HANA, or it was not possible only in ECC? So these kind of a points is what you'll have to take out and then explain with proper business example. When I say business example, they always expect a financial impact from you for whatever you speak out in your interview. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Any questions on this
So the very
points?
first scenario you have given, no, in that like first second one, if GL transactions, but if GL has transaction, but balance is zero with open item and without open item, like this could also be a scenario, no? Like I have posted the transactions, and later I wanted to mark it as open item management.
Correct. This can be both. Whether you wanted to enable open item or you enabled open item by mistakenly, you passed entries, but now you want to remove it open item.
Okay.
Both are possible.
Okay.
Okay. No other questions in this? Make sure you're experimenting on this.
Okay, sir.
Before we do it on these sessions, I want everybody to at least experiment or give a try, so that when we practically do it, you will understand it very clear. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. All right then. Let me stop this recording.